My name is Elena Vasquez. I'm 32 years old. And the last time my father looked me in the eye was the day I told him I was enlisting instead of becoming the doctor he'd spent 18 years planning for me to be. That was 14 years ago. Today, I'm sitting in the back row of St. Catherine's Cathedral, watching my golden child brother Marcus exchange vows with his equally radiant fiancée, while Dad beams in the front pew like he's personally choreographed this fairy tale. The irony isn't lost on me that I had to fly back from Kabul for this, cutting short an operation that 3 governments consider classified just to watch my family pretend I don't exist. Elena, my cousin Sophia slides into the pew beside me, her voice a whisper that somehow manages to carry judgment. I'm surprised you made it. We heard you were still overseas. The way she says overseas makes it sound like I'm backpacking through Europe instead of running counterintelligence operations in one of the world's most dangerous regions. But I smile and nod because that's what I've learned to do. Let them think what they want to think. Wouldn't miss it, I murmur, adjusting the simple black dress I chose specifically because it wouldn't draw attention. In my world, blending in is survival. In my family's world, it's apparently confirmation that I've amounted to nothing. The ceremony proceeds with all the pomp my mother always dreamed of, for Marcus anyway. When I graduated from West Point, she'd managed a stiff handshake and a comment about how unconventional my choices were. When Marcus graduated law school, she threw a party for 200 people and hired a photographer. As the happy couple kisses and the crowd erupts in applause, I catch Dad's eye for just a moment. He looks right through me, the same way he has for over a decade. The same way he looked at me when I came home after my first deployment, when I tried to tell him about the work I was doing, the lives we were saving. He'd changed the subject to Marcus' promotion at the firm. The reception is held at the Ritz-Carlton downtown because of course it is. Marcus has done well for himself, senior associate at Dad's old law firm, engaged to the daughter of a federal judge. Everything Dad wanted in a son. Everything he got. I find myself at the bar nursing a club soda and watching my family work the room like the political animals they are. Dad's telling anyone who'll listen about Marcus' recent victory in a high-profile case. Mom's showing off her new daughter-in-law to the society wives she's been trying to impress for 30 years. Elena, right? I turn to find a tall man in his 50s, salt and pepper hair, kind eyes. He's got the bearing of someone used to command, though he's in civilian clothes. Yes, I say carefully. Marcus mentioned he had a sister. I'm Robert Henley, Claire's father. He extends his hand. The judge. Ah, the federal judge. I shake his hand, wondering what version of me Marcus has shared with his new father-in-law. Congratulations, I say. Claire seems wonderful. She is. And Marcus tells me you're in the service. There's something in his tone that's different from the usual family dismissiveness. Something that sounds almost like respect. I am. Army. Yes, sir. He nods slowly, studying my face. How long? 14 years. That's substantial. He pauses. What's your MOS? Now he has my attention. Most civilians don't know to ask about military occupational specialty. 35 series, I say, keeping it vague. Intelligence. His eyebrows raise slightly. 35 series. That covers a lot of ground. It does, from basic intelligence analyst to the kind of work that doesn't officially exist. But I just nod. Elena. My mother's voice cuts through our conversation like a blade. She approaches with Claire's mother in tow, both of them glittering in their designer gowns. There you are, hiding by the bar. The way she says hiding makes it clear she wishes I'd hidden better, preferably in another state. Mrs. Chin was just asking about you, Mom continues, her smile tight. I was telling her how you're still figuring things out. Mrs. Chun, bless her, looks uncomfortable. I'm sure Elena has found her path. Oh, she's in the army, Mom says with a laugh that sounds like breaking glass. Has been for years. We keep hoping she'll settle down, maybe use that discipline in a more traditional way. I feel Judge Henley stiffen beside me. He knows. Somehow he knows that what my mother just said is like calling a neurosurgeon a first aid volunteer. Traditional can be overrated, he says quietly. But Mom's on a roll now, probably fueled by champagne and the intoxicating presence of so much inherited money. We always said Elena was our little rebel. Never wanted to follow the family path. Dad used to joke that she'd rather play soldier than work in the real world. The air in the room seems to thin. I see Judge Henley's jaw tighten. Around us, conversations continue, but I can feel the shift in energy like a storm front moving in. Mom, My voice is calm, controlled. Maybe we should. Oh, she's always been so serious, Mom continues, gesturing with her champagne flute. Even as a child. We tried to get her interested in normal things, dance classes, piano, college prep, but she always had her nose in some military history book, or was doing push-ups in the backyard. Mrs. Chun looks mortified. Judge Henley looks dangerous. Of course we're proud of her, Mom adds, the words hollow as a campaign promise. It's just, well, when your other child is making partner and marrying a judge's daughter. She shrugs as if to say, what can you do? That's when Marcus appears, Claire on his arm, both of them glowing with newlywed bliss and Dom Perignon. What are we talking about? Marcus asks, that easy smile that's gotten him everything he's ever wanted. Your mother was just telling us about Elena's career, Judge Henley says. And there's something in his voice that makes Marcus look at him sharply. Oh, Elena's the soldier in the family, Marcus says with a laugh. Always was the tough one. I'm more the brains, she's more the muscle, I guess. The muscle. 14 years of service, and I'm the muscle. She's so dedicated, Claire adds, and I can hear that she's trying to be kind. Marcus says you've been overseas a lot, Mrs. Chin ventures. Some, I say. It's dangerous work, Mom says, and now her voice has taken on that particular tone she uses when she wants people to feel sorry for her. We worry constantly. All those combat zones. Mom, I'm not in combat. Well, it's all dangerous, isn't it? She waves her hand dismissively. All that military stuff. Judge Henley sets his drink down on the bar with more force than necessary. The sound cuts through the ambient noise like a gunshot. Excuse me, he says, and his voice has gone very, very quiet. Mrs. Vasquez, when you say military stuff, what exactly do you think your daughter does? Mom blinks, caught off guard by the intensity of his question. Well, she's a soldier. She follows orders, I suppose. Stands guard, maybe. I've never really understood. Standing guard. Judge Henley repeats the words like they taste bitter. Mrs. Vasquez, with respect, I don't think you understand who your daughter is. The little circle we've formed has gone dead silent. Marcus and Claire exchange glances. Mom looks confused and slightly offended. I beg your pardon? Mom says. Judge Henley turns to look at me, and I see something in his eyes that I haven't seen in my family's faces in 14 years. Recognition. You served in Afghanistan, he says. It's not a question. Yes, sir. Iraq. Yes, sir. How many tours? I feel the walls closing in. This isn't how I wanted this to go. 7 total. Mom's face goes white. 7 tours is a lot, even for a career soldier. 35 series, Judge Henley continues, his voice getting quieter and more dangerous. Intelligence. 7 tours in combat zones. He pauses. What's your current rank, Elena? The question hangs in the air like smoke. I can feel my family's eyes on me, can sense their confusion shifting into something else, something that might be the beginning of understanding. Lieutenant Colonel, I say quietly. The silence that follows is absolute. In the middle of a reception for 300 people, our little corner of the universe has gone completely still. Lieutenant Colonel, Judge Henley repeats, and now his voice carries the weight of someone who understands exactly what that means. At 32, in intelligence, with 7 combat tours. Mom's champagne flute slips from her fingers and shatters on the marble floor. The sound jolts everyone back to the present. I don't, she stammers. Mrs. Vasquez, Judge Henley says, and his voice is gentle now, almost pitying. Your daughter isn't playing soldier. She's not standing guard at some base in Kansas. Lieutenant Colonel Vasquez is what we call a rising star in military intelligence. 7 tours means she's been hand-selected for the most critical operations. At her rank, at her age, with her specialty. He pauses. She's probably briefed generals. Possibly even briefed the Joint Chiefs. Marcus has gone very, very pale. Elena, I can't answer. Can't answer because Judge Henley isn't done. The kind of work Lieutenant Colonel Vasquez does, he continues, the kind of intelligence operations that require 7 tours in active combat zones. That's not something you volunteer for. That's something you get chosen for, by people who've looked at your record and decided you're one of the best minds in the business. Dad has appeared at Mom's side, probably drawn by the sound of breaking glass. He looks at the shattered champagne flute, then at Judge Henley's face, then at me. Elena, his voice is small, uncertain. The 35 series encompasses everything from basic intelligence analysis to counterintelligence operations, Judge Henley explains, his voice carrying now, drawing attention from nearby guests. But 7 tours means black operations, means saving lives, means preventing attacks. He looks directly at Dad. Means your daughter has probably prevented more terrorist attacks than you've filed lawsuits. The circle around us has grown. People are listening now, sensing drama, sensing a story unfolding. I tried to tell you, I say quietly, looking at Dad. After my first deployment, I tried to explain what I was doing, but you changed the subject to Marcus. Judge Henley finishes for me, and his voice is ice. You changed the subject to your son's promotion at a law firm while your daughter was literally keeping this country safe. I didn't know, Dad whispers. You didn't ask, I say. The silence stretches out, broken only by the distant sound of the band playing in the main ballroom. Finally, Claire speaks. Elena, we had no idea. Because no one ever asked, I repeat. In 14 years, no one in this family has ever asked what I actually do. You assumed I was some kind of enlisted grunt with a gun, following orders and staying out of trouble. You never corrected us, Marcus says, but his voice lacks its usual confidence. I tried. For years I tried. But every time I came home, every conversation was about your cases, your promotions, your achievements. There was never room for mine. Judge Henley clears his throat. If you'll permit me, Elena, I'd like to share something with your family. I nod, not trusting my voice. He turns to address the growing crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, I've had the privilege of working with military intelligence in my capacity as a federal judge. I've seen classified briefings. I've worked with some of the finest minds in our armed forces. He pauses. Lieutenant Colonel Vasquez represents the absolute elite of that community. The kind of officer who gets called to Washington. The kind of officer who gets invited to brief the Secretary of Defense. Mom makes a small sound like a wounded animal. The operations she's been part of, the lives she's saved, the attacks she's prevented. Judge Henley shakes his head. That's classified information, of course. But I can tell you this. Your daughter is a genuine American hero. The kind of person who runs toward danger while the rest of us run away from it. Dad is crying now, tears streaming down his face. Elena, you. What, Dad? My voice is steady, controlled. You're proud? You're sorry? You want to make it up to me? Yes, he whispers. All of that. I look around at my family, Mom still white-faced and shaking, Marcus struggling to process this new reality, Dad broken and crying. At the crowd of wedding guests who are staring at me like I'm some kind of exotic creature they've never seen before. The thing is, I say quietly, I don't need your pride anymore. I don't need your approval or your understanding or your apologies. For 14 years, I've protected this country and everyone in it, including all of you, while you dismissed me as a disappointment. I turn to Judge Henley. Thank you, sir, for seeing me, for understanding. He nods gravely. It was an honor, Colonel. I start to walk away, then pause and turn back to my family. For what it's worth, I say, I'm proud of Marcus. I'm proud of his success, his marriage, his achievements. I always have been. The difference is, I never needed him to fail for me to succeed. The crowd parts as I walk through the reception hall, headed for the exit. Behind me, I can hear the murmur of conversations starting up again, can feel the weight of eyes on my back. At the coat check, I hand the attendant my ticket and wait for my jacket. As I'm putting it on, I hear footsteps behind me. Elena. I turn. It's Marcus, still in his tuxedo, still looking stunned. I'm sorry, he says simply. I'm so terribly sorry. I know. I had no idea. We had no idea who you really are. I smile at that, the first real smile I've felt all day. Yes, you did, Marcus. You've always known who I am. You just never thought it mattered. He opens his mouth to argue, then closes it again because he knows I'm right. Will you, he swallows hard. Will you come to Christmas? Will you give us a chance to do better? I consider this, consider whether I want to give them another chance to see me, to know me, to value me. Maybe, I say finally, if you can handle having a genuine American hero at your dinner table. He laughs, a sound caught between relief and tears. I think we can manage. I walk out into the cool evening air, pulling my phone from my purse. I have 7 missed calls from Langley and a text that simply says, "Wheels up in 6 hours. Pakistan needs our girl." Our girl. Not the family disappointment. Not the soldier playing dress-up. Our girl. I hail a taxi and slide into the back seat, already mentally shifting gears from the emotional battlefield of my family to the actual battlefield waiting for me halfway around the world. Airport, I tell the driver. As we pull away from the hotel, I catch a glimpse of the reception through the windows. All those people in their expensive clothes, living their safe, comfortable lives, never knowing that their safety depends on people like me. People they'll never see coming, never understand, never fully appreciate. And you know what? That's exactly how I like it. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. This is Judge Henley. Your brother gave me your contact information. I hope that's all right. I wanted you to know that what I said in there was just the beginning. You're remarkable, and your family is lucky to have you. The country is lucky to have you. I type back. Thank you, sir. It meant everything. Another buzz. This time it's Marcus. Come home for Christmas. Please. We want to know who you really are. I stare at the message for a long moment, watching the city lights blur past the window. Then I type. We'll see. But as the taxi carries me toward another mission, another country, another chance to do what I do best, I find myself thinking that maybe, just maybe, it's time to let my family see the woman I've become. After all, I spent 14 years becoming someone worth knowing. Maybe it's time they met her.